It is indeed a pleasure to have this privilege to play here for you. We intend to give you a very fine program, so just settle back, relax, and enjoy the moment.
Let's not have the microphone fall again. Yeah. Looks like my mic sounds nice over here. Hi, guys. That's my wannabe YouTube. That's my wannabe YouTube influencer voice. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about cream blush. Let me stop. What up, Megzy? Good morning. I'm just joking, no shade. I definitely watched a ton of beauty YouTube yesterday, skincare YouTube. What's up? Welcome. Welcome. Yo, yeah, today I knew I was going to talk about education. Yesterday we touched on it very lightly. Say good morning if you're in the chat too. If you're watching live. If you're watching later, you can't say hello, but you can always comment, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're watching the playback on Twitch. Good morning, Brienne. Good morning, Rugby. How you doing? Yeah, say good morning. It's cool. Let me know how you feeling today. Let's do a little check-in first. How you feeling? How y'all feeling? Yeah, I knew today I was going to talk about education because of, y'all know the family here, the Twitch peeps here in the comment section. What up, Allie? Allie, how you doing? What's up, Owl Lady? Now, let me play Allie's theme song. Like, yesterday we touched on education really lightly. I saw what was going on, but the Twitch peeps here, of course, keep me engaged, both here in this space and sometimes outside of this digital space in real life. Also too, other folks have gotten in the habit of, hey, I'm watching, I'm tracking these stories, I'm tracking these things in education. So I've created an environment. What's up, Joni? I've created an environment where people are alerting me to certain movements regarding public education, regarding some of the interests that have drastically changed the conversation around public education. They've drastically changed the way we think about public ed. And so a lot of y'all, I want to give credit to y'all, a lot of y'all has paid particular attention to the interests, the voices, the people, personalities, the super PACs behind some of this legislation, some of this, I characterize it as an assault. Good morning, D, how you doing? I carried, and I got D real quick because I don't text back promptly. D, I got you ahead of you with the VPN. Got that, but also feedback. Heard about the website. One woman show though. I'm trying. I had to get the banking stuff. I was at the bank, literally in the bank yesterday, taking care of some stuff for the website. But I got your feedback loud and clear. Thank you. I appreciate that. It comes from an appreciative spirit. Yeah. No. But yeah, so, we want to talk about some of those influences. I did tease it out in the newsletter, and I guess I could do that instead of talking. Y'all could just, you know what I mean? Shout out to the homie who sent me this article. We're going to dig into this. But let me get to, I guess, my newsletter. Let me see how I want to do this. We'll get into, I know what we can do first. And also, too, I'm going to say this, too. Nah, I ain't gonna say that now. But yeah, this is the thumbnail for today. I'm gonna redo this. I just did this real quick because I ran out of time. Yes, I put Darren Goss on my thumbnail. Yup, it's time to focus on a lot of the players, the interesting players in this game. Darren Goss is one of them. One thing I told myself, I'm trying to move this. One thing I told myself this morning, I alluded to this in the preview text of the newsletter this morning, was look, I know, and I'm going to get to a point. What up, Justin? What up, K-Bells? Good to see you. Y'all, please follow K-Bells on Twitter. She a hoop. I love your stream of consciousness on Twitter, K-Bells. I maybe one day I'll bring it up. Feel free to drop your Twitter feed in the chat. Yeah, it's time to start talking about all of the influences. Look, we've talked about Betsy DeVos, we've talked about Tim Scott, we've talked about Navarro, Zucker, and I don't mention these people lightly. Like it's really difficult sometimes what up, Christy? It's really difficult sometimes to talk about these powerful people because you don't know what the ramifications would be. And I think some of y'all who also engage in this fight, who are engaged with this fight to make sure that public schools are protected, the interests of public schools are protected. I think a lot of y'all move with a certain level of precaution as well, or move with caution as well. But I feel like the onus is on me to at least show you and help you draw some conclusions. I don't want to draw too many. I don't want to draw conclusions, but to help you see some things. So, I just wanted to feature Darren more prominently. This is not an attack on Darren, the father. I don't know if he's a father or not. I don't know much about his personal life. This is not an attack on him if he's your boss. This is not an attack on him as a man. This is us thinking critically about a lot of the efforts that he's spearheading. I used a term yesterday that I continue to use. It's a mellow gangster. And I don't mean that any type of thuggish. That's not anti-blackness. That's how I refer to anybody who's moving out here like a smooth criminal, right? Like, you just out here bow tying it up, kikiing, making people feel safe. Largely has a largely affable, outward facing personality, but beyond that are some pretty consequential political and power moves being brokered. And so it's important for us to delve into that. I do look forward. This is a two-way street. Y'all know this. I say this every so often. The reason why I hopped on Twitch was so that we can have a dialogue, so that there is a level of engagement where I'm not just dispensing you just watching the black woman with the hair on fire. I actually want you to participate in this conversation. And we've had that, right? We've had people take the conversation in another direction in a good faith way, right? We've had people respond viscerally to people I interviewed after the fact. That's what I want. Not so much I want the reaction, but I want you to voice your concerns and add that nuance to this conversation. So today, I'm actually making that invitation more like explicitly laying it out. I want that. If you feel like I'm off target with any of my commentary or questions, because I got more questions than I got answers. I'm gonna be real with you. If anything's off and you like, yeah, I mean, Mika, I don't think that's true. I was in a board meeting, yada yada yada. I didn't hear that. Let me know. That's cool. Right. All right. What up, B-Man? Good morning. Yeah, Al, you said, oh my God, I'm excited. Didn't smooth criminal aspect. Oh, you didn't? Oh, you haven't, like, sometimes I'm like, do you watch? So I'm like, Allie, do you watch my live stream? I'm joking clearly, but I know you're busy doing law stuff, doing lawyer stuff. So I don't expect you to. Darren's been on the radar for a minute. Full disclosure, my former employer received monies from CCF. And I remember before I was hired, I remember noticing and scratching my head a little bit and noticing Darren's proximity to my former employer, the Cypress Fund. But we're going to get into it. And it's not about, just like with the sheriff, I don't think I have very strong feelings about the sheriff. Oh my God, do we have to go back to that again too? I don't know. Homie in the chat, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know. I'm going to touch on it lightly. But I'm going to touch on light. But I remember before I got hired and I was looking at CCF's proximity to my organization, and I was just like, what's this about? Right? I had questions. And so I got more questions. Yeah. And like, look, y'all, a lot of people look, it's Zucker, Navarro, CCF. It's almost impossible not to do business, not to organize, it's hard. You can't escape their influence. You can't escape a lot of they wield a lot of power. And I think we need to stop looking at anyone in philanthropy, especially in these $1 million plus nonprofits. We got to stop looking at this as like, oh, this is just the Girl Scouts. Oh, this is just, the Red Cross. We got to this is real power, real money, real influence over over public policy. And I don't know why we're still I don't know. For me, I feel like I get it, right? So many of my friends have jobs that are CCF adjacent, or they work at CCF, or I know I have acquaintances that work. I don't think I have any friends that work at CCF, but I have acquaintances that work at CCF, or I know people who I respect and admire who are CCF adjacent, who are Navarro adjacent. I definitely got friends who work at Meeting Street schools. I have friends who did once work at Meeting Street schools. It's almost impossible to avoid this, but just but this is why philanthropy needs to be questioned, because we know that philanthropy came about during the civil rights movement, and it's very the foundation complex, as Ella Baker once called it in its earlier stages. The foundation complex came about to diffuse movements. It came about not to just surveil folks, but to diffuse movements and to introduce a certain level of surveillance in communities, marginalized communities of color. That's what philanthropy, that's its roots. Its roots is in capitalism. Its roots is in also diffusing movement. And so when you understand how traditional philanthropy, right? Not all philanthropy is created equal, but when you look at how traditional philanthropy moves, and specifically philanthrocapitalism, when you see how it moves, you understand how it's supposed to disrupt movement. It's supposed to diffuse, any type of rumblings, diffuse any type of groundswell, where the people who are less often listened to have a voice. And so we gotta just, yeah. What's going on? Okay. Y'all, help me out there. Thank you, D. I appreciate you doing Lord's work. Yeah. Be right back. That's okay. Y'all so silly. Thank you for letting us know. You'll be right back. All right. So we're gonna jump into that. There's a lot of news though to catch up on. A lot of news. I honestly don't know where to begin. A lot of news. I got stories open up. Then I said, let me use my library card. But using the library card and lately has been difficult to navigate, because I want to bring y'all the news that's important. It's a lot. I also wanted to share some good news, or kind of. Okay, let me open up my newsletter. Let me open up my newsletter that went out this morning. Shout out to y'all. Y'all been opening up that bad boy. He said, hurry up. Y'all been shout out to y'all. Y'all been opening up the newsletter. Y'all been killing it. Hold on one second. Yeah, y'all been killing it. Got y'all all in my business. I want y'all in my business. Remember, to Little Mama's point, she brought up a couple times. A lot of folks are saying, hey, I'm not getting a newsletter. Or it's ending up in spam. Remember to add my email address add that to your contacts. If you have Gmail, add me to your contacts. That way I should pop up in your inbox. Okay. So this is the newsletter that went out. And let me see. So also catching you up on yesterday. If you didn't watch yesterday was great. We got Brandon coming. Brandon will join us on Friday. So it's good to just rep the squad a little bit. So please check out this interview with Fernando. If you got a chance, go back and tap that. You can either catch up it's on YouTube. You can come back to Twitch and watch the videos for at least the next week or so. We touched on this. I will say this while I got this up, still getting responses from folks about responses from the sheriff. I want to say this. This is something that just popped into my head. I want to actually Fernando was great, D. Let me switch up. I want to acknowledge, let me do that. I want to acknowledge some of the things that I've seen consistently across some of the communications from the sheriff's department that y'all have offered to share with me I want to acknowledge that the sheriff brought us some things that I know to be true. That there is more to the story. That there is nuance. That I don't doubt that there was maybe some back and forth there. But what the sheriff, I guess, refuses to acknowledge. I don't know how much bombshell information she has, given the fact that the facility people sent and during the investigation said that we tell new girls to stay far away from him. I don't know what else she can offer up. I think what she's doing is she's trying to address an issue with behavior and culture. Because this is what this is about. Like the whole sheriff thing, Deputy Miller bullshit is about a culture of harassment and a sense of entitlement to a woman's body, her personal space. So instead of trying to discredit the allegations, it seems like from the reporting, and it seems like this guy asking to resign and saying as much as in a memo, saying as much as, I don't know how I got to this point. I need to go back, lean on my faith and my family. You don't say that if you didn't do anything inappropriate. And I don't know why the sheriff is making this about these isolated incidences and not focusing on the actual behavior of Master Deputy former Master Deputy Miller. I in the responses, I'm seeing the sheriff say things like, well, there's more to it. Sexual harassment is not a crime. Sweetie Bop, we know that. Where the problem is we now have been alerted because somebody had an interaction with this dude that resulted in a call to Crime Stoppers. Whether you think that was vindictive, personally driven, personally motivated, if you think it was a love affair going wrong, it was 6 women who were questioned in this investigation. One called Low Country Crime Stoppers. Another comment from an involved party says, we tell the new girls to stay far away from him. Another comment that was revealed in the investigation says, is this who you want representing your, your department? I don't care if it was fucking consensual at one point or at various points of the interaction. It was inappropriate. And to Fernando's point, this was on a taxpayer dime. So I don't need you out here participating in consensual or non-consensual sexual misconduct, sexual conduct, whatever it is, a tryst, a caprice, jump off, afternoon delight. We don't need to be subsidizing that. Clearly he had some sort of relationship outside of his marriage. Since you want to keep lifting up his marriage, well, that's a problem too, because you a married man and you out here acting a fool like you single. That's I ain't judgy. I'm somewhat non-monogamous myself, but I'm just saying, like, you keep lifting up this man's value and center. Like, stop with you don't know the story. We get it. It's sticky. You look at the Epstein case. That's thick. That got contours to it. But the fact of the matter is, this man exploited young girls for sex, right? In the Epstein case. So like, why are we focusing on the inconsistencies? And I expect so much more from a woman. Like, why are we so hell-bent on defending, hey, you know what? You don't know the whole story, yada, yada, yada. This dude, 6 women, it was reported, you didn't provide comments. Stop commenting in your fucking inbox and come up with a fucking communication strategy and make yourself available to media members. If you don't trust Live 5 News, if you don't trust Steve Garrison, find somebody you fucking trust and say something to the press. Stop with all this fucking these Twitter fingers and defending someone whose behavior is questionable. The judgment was questionable. And I'm just saying, y'all keep sharing these responses, and she oddly enough wants to get together and meet people. And like, no, you just don't want to be held to account. No, why? And y'all, please don't go to the police department like unless you have to be there. Like, don't just offer yourself up to go and park your car at the sheriff's office. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't. It's just, don't do that. She shouldn't be, and you shouldn't have to go to, she ain't, no, she ain't, apparently she's not that busy because she responded to y'all emails. So, I mean, anyway. Anyway, good morning, Denise. I didn't mean to like go off like that, but just the responses are very curious, and she's so focused on. I think what I'm hearing is that what I'm kind of reading between the lines, and I'm speculating. Some of the responses y'all shared, I guess she's like, I got you. Good morning, Joy. I guess she's just really focused on. It feels like she's alluding to the fact that these were consensual like situations, and like, you know, and then she lied and said she didn't wish him luck, and in the memo said she wished him luck. Like, I don't like. So who lying? And why don't you just come out on record? Come out on record in the press, right? So anyway, this is the news that it went out. Let's focus on this. Hey, Joy. Hey, Charlie and Britt. What's up? Long time no see. Allie, you said in there it is political strategy to ignore controversial issues in hopes that the news cycle passes and avoid bringing more attention. Right, but you bringing more attention because you are sending emails as if screenshots don't occur, like screenshots aren't real. I hear you. Like, she keeps doing things that jam herself up. And if one funky shoe drops about this man's behavior at CPD, it's on. Like, then you did all that for what? Right? All right. So we just wanted to tie that up. Remember, y'all, we are in the middle of a fundraiser. We're working on a behind the scenes push. If you want to be a part of, like, what I really want y'all to do is not just have me, sell the t-shirts. I really want y'all to also be somewhat of an ambassador, ask people in your immediate circles to give, to purchase. And I'm working on some things. Shout out Headspace Murals. We're working on things, and we're getting a list together of folks that we're going to ask. So yeah, I'm talking to you. Yeah, you, the ones that watch and don't comment, so I don't know you watching. Yup. That's cool. We're going to be calling out to some of our local favorite places, business owners, people, voices, whatever you want to call them. And yeah, we're going to hit you up. We're going to definitely have this is a fundraiser. So I'm going to ask y'all to help me spread the word. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Absolutely. Right? Back in the motherland. Where's the motherland? Africa? Or here? What's the motherland? I'm black, so when you say motherland, Charlie, I think Africa. All right, so yeah, remember I want to also say, real talk. Y'all are real ones. Shout out to Diane, Lynn, Lil Mama, Justin. I should have had. I was gonna have a list up. Oh, you back in the UK? Oh, you there for good? Are you coming back? Shout out to all y'all who jumped to buy a t-shirt. Brandon bought a t-shirt, bought a hoodie. Shout out Christy. Like, just shout out to all y'all who just jumped to it. I don't even think I ended the stream. Joy, I don't think I ended the stream before y'all like just jumped and supported. Shout out to the new Patreon subscribers. Eric, I appreciate you. I do not take that for granted. Y'all get it. I appreciate it. And I really do hope, and I want to work toward justifying your confidence in me. All right. Yeah. I know. Only for a month. I know it's the holidays. Yeah, you're one of the Dianes. 2 Dianes. Yup. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. That's why I said it like that, D. I was just being cute. All right. So let's get to it. I'm gonna leave this up just in case. Yeah. I might leave it up just in case. All right, so we're gonna talk about education today. Oh man, I had my Facebook open. Oh Lord. Ugh. I had it open. I forgot that I had to disable those push notifications from Messenger because I wanted to have a certain
stunning text messages submitted.
We ain't getting to that yet. Hold on. All right, I'm trying to get things together, y'all. It's a lot. All right, so I went back, got some oldie but goodies, some not so oldie but goodies. We gonna talk about dark money all up and through this live stream. I need y'all to keep me honest. If I get something wrong, let me know. If I'm reaching, if something's a stretch, let me know. But we gonna talk. We're gonna look at this piece, just a general, broader view of dark money and white supremacist groups. We've seen this here locally. This was published by the Daily Beast in November, so this is fairly recent. But we've seen this. We literally seen these Moms for America, Moms for Liberty groups work. Literally in our eyeballs, like in our faces, work with Proud Boys, work with insurrectionists, right? And so that's not a secret, that's not a surprise. But we're gonna talk about that, so that broader sense of dark money, right? We're gonna talk about some recent news, this area news here. This is WMBF. What region is that? Myrtle Beach? Myrtle Beach. So the PD, right? So I think this story got syndicated with Live 5 as well. Live 5 News, I believe. They use the same interface and whatnot, and it's the same font and whatnot. So recommendations for South Carolina schools tax aimed at getting schools back on track after COVID. We're gonna look at that because you got to read between the lines a little bit. Here, this is just something I wanted to pull up because I didn't read it yet. Again from November, around the same time as Daily Beast. Yep, the day before the Daily Beast article. This is Weaver to replace Spearman in South Carolina. Kind of wanted to get anybody who's clued in on this race, wanted to get your takes on that. Don't know too much about that. And I definitely want to concede to folks who have school-aged children who are engaged. I think all too often political interest pundits, commentators like myself have taken up so much space in this conversation around education, public education, the privatization effort within public education. So I really do want to kind of rely on y'all. I know some of y'all a little shy about like being so forward, but would love any insight. This right here, we already did a whole Fahrenheit 843 or 803, right? We already did that, right? So like, we talked about book banning and book burning. We're gonna look at this right here because this is a point of contention as well in terms of books that were books that will be in the classroom. This piece right here, shout out to the homie on Twitter. Won't say your name, but shout out unless you let me, unless you give me consent. Shout out for sending me this piece here. This also is gonna factor into this conversation about dark money in public ed. The scope and speed of educational gag orders is worsening across the country. Let me go ahead and switch the camera back up. I have no clue, Brian. Didn't know what was available. I'm sorry, I just looked at the chat. Good morning, Evelyn. Just looked at the chat. So let me just say this. I knew Joe Biden was going to be bad, right? I knew he wasn't going to be a good pick. I just knew this wasn't his time. I knew he just felt like this was his unfinished business. Like he felt entitled to this. He had failed when he ran for president before. But when I tell you that the avalanche of anti-public ed, anti-CRT, anti-1619, anti-books with queer and civil rights history, when I tell you that the avalanche is coming, and the avalanche will come in the form of a changing of power, the changing of the hands of power, I think the Democrats, and I'm not trying to be a fearmonger, or this doesn't make me feel good, but the way that this administration, the way this establishment has maneuvered and basically fumbled the fucking bag since day one is going to bode. It's going to lead to some really unfortunate consequences when it comes to education. We're seeing the legislation ramp up here in this state and other Republican held states, and I'm very upset. And this is certainly fuels my disdain for Democratic establishment here, especially. That's why I'm going to push Dr. Annie Andrews. Y'all can fan out. Y'all can oh yeah, go girl, tweet. Y'all can do that. And I'm going to do some of that too. Maybe like a skosh, maybe like a half of she talking right. I might do a she talking right tweet. But I'm going to be pushing every Democrat to do better and to show up better. Because we got a hell of a road. We got a hell of a road ahead of us. right? Honor Marks, you said you're exactly right regarding Biden and Dems allowing this to advance. And to your point, not to your point, but on that note, Honor, shout out again to Joy for putting me on. Y'all put me on to the wolf at the schoolhouse door. The Dems have been seating power in this fight for decades. They've been forsaken teachers. So you know what? Actually, let's do this. Let's take a look at the local news real quick. Let's look at some papers. Front page of the Post and Courier. This story was sad. I kind of saw it coming. Y'all remember the young man, Rock Hill, mercilessly shot 6 people. He had CTE. A lot of my friends who live outside the state, who know I'm a sports fan, showed this to me. A lot of racial animus is wrapped up in the responses. I definitely, I can feel grief for the man who suffered this horrific brain condition and the victims of this gun violence, right? I can hold those two things at the same time. But a lot of racial animus is wrapped up in, so does that justify it? No one's saying it justifies it. We're saying that CTE is an issue. Attack CTE. Don't attack the news about CTE. This other headline here in the front page of Post and Courier, reports to pay $40 million in overpass dispute. Just reading the headlines right now, y'all, because I ain't got time. All right, Somerville Gateway gearing up for growth. Yep, the Boom and Balance series is vexing. It's just like it's a lot of growth, a lot of boom and no balance, very little balance. U.S. judge upholds ex-sheriff's convictions. Underwood faces up to 20 years in prison. I got to read that later. We got to read that later. All right. Schools see rise in violent behaviors. And this is what the Post and Courier, on their digital page, they made this a feature story. So when you logged on this morning at 4 or 5 o'clock like me, you saw this story was like the main story that took up the whole screen. So there's testing or doing suicide assessments, and they have seen an uptick. That does coincide a little bit with what we're talking about today in terms of education, but we might have to look at that a little bit closer later. Here's the state newspaper. Is this the digital? No, this is the story. We're definitely gonna read this story. Macy's district stays competitive, and South Carolina redistricting plan that shakes up Richland County. We're gonna definitely. We might not. All right. Nope. This is me trying to use my library card, and it just was too much news. This is the front page of the state newspaper, though. I think this is worth sharing. Front page of the state newspaper, right? So let me see. So here you got the CTE story above the fold, front page, right? Dr. Adams had severe CTE injury before he killed. You don't just kill 6 random people. Like, you're not well on some level. I hope we all can agree. They also put this story on the front page. Officials, South Carolina Sheriff, ex-deputy charged with violent crimes. I mean, how much police accountability can we fit into 1 week? And then something about sausages. All right, so we're going to close that out. All right, let's get to it. I actually want to start here. I'm going to start. This is a weird place to start, but we're going to start with, it's a weird place to start, but we're going to start not the bombshell text, which is, that shit straight in my hair. We're going to start here. So I watched this yesterday before one of my naps. I watched this yesterday, and I thought it was an interesting argument. Now, it was about how Biden refuses to cancel any student loan debt and basically reneging on promises. Y'all can go back and forth about what he promised versus what he didn't promise explicitly or otherwise. Student loan debt cancellation was an expectation, and it wasn't an unrealistic expectation. But within this conversation about student debt cancellation came this interesting argument. So if y'all don't understand, so The Hill, they have this show called The Rising, and what they're doing is that they feature libertarian and progressive voices and some conservative voices that are supposed to, it's like they feature some conservative voices who old boy from Fitz News, y'all can see him right there. I'm gonna get to that. That's Will Folks. Is who the panelists are usually comprised of people who like either libertarian, some sort of common sense conservative, and some kind of progressive values, right? They're trying to make it diverse, trying to make it more honest. But there was this really infuriating argument here that's going to lead into this conversation about dark money and people's attitudes, conservative attitudes toward public education. Then, and I'm going to play it right here in the middle because, again, the front part is not as important as this middle part. Then we're going to look at, and y'all know I don't like to click on Fitz News content, but we're going to look at it. And I didn't even watch it, the whole thing, because I wanted to watch it with y'all. Y'all special. I just wanted to show, I want to fact check that motherfucker, if that makes any sense. Because he's very nonchalant in the video, backwards cap, just very nonchalant, very self-assured. And I'm always leery of men who do a little bit of man-spreading while they're giving commentary. Like, I'm just leery. The automatic bells go off. But let's watch this. And this will actually let you know, to me,
college degrees.
Okay. This, to me, it shows you how people are viewing, are viewing teachers, education, student debt, and all of that, and teachers, because this is also about teachers. So y'all know Ryan Grimm. I fuck with Ryan Grimm. He works for The Intercept, progressive voice. I fuck with him heavy. This dude right here, don't always agree. Don't always really fucking like what he has to say. I get the composition of how they do the show, trying to be a little bit different from your CNNs and your MSNBCs and your Fox Newses and whatnot, and trying to be like authentic. I get that. That's why I watch it. It challenges me. But this right here, I don't know if he was just playing devil's advocate. I think he was actually espousing his own views. Let's go.
To take those jobs.
Isn't the... Okay, so to attempt to portray the other side of this, or where someone who doesn't quite share the enthusiasm for this policy you two have, I absolutely, it should be easier to become a teacher. You shouldn't need 80 trillion advanced degrees and like 10 years of college debt to become a teacher.
You just need one, Robbie. You just need a 4-year degree, sometimes a master's. But those 4-year degrees, even from not especially prestigious institutions, are extremely expensive. Even state schools are extremely expensive. People have tried to frame this as an issue of elite colleges, but 0.3% of all college graduates in America go to Ivy League schools. Many of those people become teachers and public servants, by the way. But never mind. Huge parts of our working class, white-collar jobs and blue-collar jobs require these kinds of degrees. We live in an economy that does, and just like we have free high school because we evolved into an economy that required that level of education, people shouldn't be going into deep debt, or any debt at all, I would argue, to get the basic educational requirements that allow our country to thrive.
But they also don't have to. You can become a teacher without going into debt. If you become a teacher, public school teachers it's not a lucrative salary. It's not a bad salary either. The benefits are quite good. The job security is quite good. The hours are pretty good. Education spending is, despite what we just saw in that ridiculous video, right? The federal government is literally giving like every school district $4,000 per student right now for COVID relief payment. Like, schools have the cash. They're not laying off teachers. They can pay teachers more even if they want to right now. Money is not the education problem. I get that the debt is a separate issue, but our teachers are generally they're not starving in terms of their wages. They're just not.
Robbie, you have to go.
They're not starving because of their wages. They're just not. I will pull up that Greenville news story about the teachers that were driving Uber and shit. I will pull that shit up. And I live in South Carolina. Okay? These teachers is not flush with fucking cash. Okay? I was born and raised in New Jersey, where there were healthy teachers unions in a robust, not perfect, but very different landscape. Told y'all, don't even, this infuriated me. And how, look, I mean, I know I paused it in a weird place, but just how smug. And again, is he playing devil's advocate? Because sometimes subtlety is lost on me, but no, he's here to bring balance to this conversation. So he doesn't agree with student loan cancellation. And I invite y'all to go find this clip, because she makes this compelling argument as to who is harmed if you cancel even fuck that 50,000. Who is harmed if you cancel student loan debt? Who's harmed? This is not taxpayers. Y'all, we're not raising taxes. We're not asking you to give more in taxes. No, who's harmed? Oh, that industry. Oh, the federal government holds this debt, right? What up, Shelby? Hey, Shelby. Oh, wow. Thank you, Shelby. I'm glad you made it, too. We were communicating y'all this morning. Shout out to Joy. Shout out to Joy for being my hype person.
To become a teacher.
Oh, this infuriating.
And most people would argue that that's a good thing because they want their kids to be taught by people who have had at least a little bit more advanced education than the teacher is getting from their own
I just want my kids actually taught by people in person. Would be
That's all you want.
My main desire for the school system. Like someone watch my kid for. I don't have children, but I would want someone to watch my kid in a space other than my kitchen. Would be like my main requirement of the education system right now.
I understand that parents are concerned first and foremost about some of those first-level COVID-related issues. But they're also, as we saw in Virginia, very concerned about the fact that their kids need to be getting a level of education in high school that will prepare them for the rest of their life. Whether that's going on to a vocational education, which, by the way, saddles people with an enormous amount of debt, or whether they're going on to a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree, both of which, again, saddle their kids with a great deal of debt. And teachers absolutely are required to get a college degree, the same as social workers and other professions that require master's degrees.
Not no more in South Carolina, right?
And the fact of the matter is, teacher salaries are low. Most teachers earn less than $60,000 a year. Why do I know that? Because part of Bernie's plan for president, a part of his platform was that every teacher in America should make a minimum of $60,000 a year, which I would argue is the bare minimum for a group that has such an important job as they do. I don't think teachers should be scrounging around on the ground for school supply money.
So that's where they started with that whole disgusting dystopian Squid Game bullshit, right? And then and I don't think they would be doing that and performing those kind of undignified feats just for ish and giggles, as they say. I think that they do it because they're under real constraints. And if we care just from a purely electoral standpoint about earning votes and winning votes in an election year, Republicans have absolutely no problem giving tax breaks to upper middle class people, tax breaks for business owners. We see Democrats right now championing the SALT tax break, which is $250 million for upper middle class people. But absolutely putting their foot down over 44 million Americans. From an electoral perspective, let's just really sit with that for a moment. 44 million Americans have student loan debt. 44 million Americans who, per the Democrats who like to crow and brag about this, are disproportionately Democrats, right? The Democratic base is disproportionately. Why am I playing this clip? Right? And y'all, she kicked, y'all know, Brianna Lovejoy, Brianna Joy Gray, she challenges me a lot, right? Like challenges me. She has these really interesting theories and thought processes. But more often than not, when it comes to like brass tacks, I really perk up and listen. Why am I playing this clip though? Okay, this is real sloppy and clumsy. And I haven't worked this out yet. It's not that complicated. I'm just wanted to give you all that disclaimer bullshit that I always do. I really do think these special interests really want us to get comfortable with debt in school, paying for school, debt, school, money, school. I really think people, and I know that wasn't like earth shattering, right? But I think that part of the argument is get comfortable with debt in school. Get comfortable with it. You don't want to go to school. You don't want to assume that debt, like he was saying. You don't want to take on that debt. Then you just be low skilled, and I don't subscribe to that low skill bullshit talk, right? Just be low skilled labor so we can hire you at a lower salary, so we don't have to pay you as much. You don't want to take on that debt? Okay, just be part of the workforce that we don't honor, that we don't respect, Kellogg's, that we don't look highly upon, John Deere, right, Nabisco, all the places that went striking in Striketober and all of the months of striking, right? What was it, Strikesgiving, right? Y'all were blowing up the chat. Yeah, it's just really, really unsettling. So now, unfortunately, I'm going to I'm gonna have to give this man clicks. So look at this. Look, and again, I'm always just like, hey, backwards cap guy. Like, I'm just always interested in backwards cap guy. Give me the fucking confidence of a mediocre ass backwards cap wearing ass So look at this. This video is titled South Carolina Education. Again, why am I showing this? I'm not just clicking on this because I want to give this dude clicks, right? I'm clicking on this because he is, and as much as I talk about it, he is. Will has made himself a cogent voice, even though he's not cogent, to me, in my opinion. He has made himself a cogent voice in a lot of issues here. He loves to play into the culture wars aspect of all of this shenanigans. I want y'all to keep me honest. Like, I want y'all, fuck that, keep me honest. I want us to fact check the shit out of this. Not keep nobody, fact check the shit out of this.
So today we're talking about education funding in South Carolina.
And I want to say this. Look, I talk about a lot of stuff that I'm not a specialist in, so I gotta chill when I keep saying that why are they talking to him? I don't like him personally. I think he's self-aggrandizing. I think he's very, very sensitive. He's a sensitive man. You know how some of these really men are. They're very, very sensitive. They don't like to be humiliated, especially by black women, right? Especially by women of color. They don't like to be questioned at all. They want to ascend to a level of authority over subject matter and in spaces that they feel entitled to. I don't care for him personally, because y'all know I already say it every day what the fuck what my chief grievance is with him. Calling me a terrorist, if those don't know, or like it's saying that I promoted a terroristic tweet because he didn't know how to read Twitter. He doesn't understand when somebody retweets you, that unless they remove you from the mentions, you're going to be included on the mentions. Yeah, I just don't care for him, and I think he does lack integrity. I think his neo-Confederate stance, his whitewashing of these hate speech, whitewashing of hate symbols, disqualifies him to weigh in on a lot of subjects. Because if you don't want to acknowledge my humanity, I can't even start having a conversation with you. If you don't want to acknowledge that a Confederate flag is synonymous with hate in this country and has been since the fucking Civil fucking War, if you don't want to, I don't care what iteration of that flag, if you don't want to acknowledge that on a basic level, you want to challenge all historical bodies of work that show you that, hey, this Confederate flag is a hate symbol, right? If you don't want to acknowledge that, then I don't have, I can't talk to you. I know that sounds really broad, but that's just how I fucking feel.
Previous episodes, we've been talking about COVID numbers. We've been talking about economic development numbers.
I got you.
Job numbers. So now we're going to talk about education funding numbers, because again, this is another area where if you listen to the mainstream media, you're going to get one set of facts. Come to Fitz News, you're going to get the actual facts. So let's break the numbers down. To the education establishment, the School Boards Association, the Administrators Association, sort of the lobbyists for the establishment, they will tell you that education funding in South Carolina is about $2,500 per kid per year. Now that's a lot.
Is it?
This is just one number. It's called the base student cost, and it's the amount of money that the state government
read those cue cards, Will,
statutorily per child in South Carolina. Now, as you might imagine, that's not the full story. That $2,500 is part of a much bigger funding allocation. And yes, in this
come through editing team
matters, especially if you're a taxpayer. So let's talk about what the real number is. Let's talk about what we're actually spending in South Carolina per child per year on public education. The actual number is much higher than
Evelyn,
as you might imagine, because again, that is just one portion of state funding. And public schools in South Carolina are funded by three primary sources: state, federal, and local. When you add all that up, the full number is much higher. It is actually $15,250.
Oh my God, we're investing in our kid
per year. Let me say that again.
That's a lot.
$15,250 per child per year.
And he's positioning the facts in a certain way to make an argument.
Believe it or not, yeah. I know you're probably thinking, wow, that's much higher than the original number. You're right. But there's actually even more, because that doesn't include money from local bonds. This is when a school board comes to you and says, hey, we need to raise some of your taxes. Please vote yes. Vote yes. It's always vote yes. Never mind what they're going to spend the money on, but just vote yes. So when these
fiscal conservatives are so whack.
Adds more money that isn't counted in the numbers I was talking about earlier, the state money, the federal money, the local money. This bond money adds a good bit to the tab. And in fact, if you add local bond revenues, the per pupil cost of public education in South Carolina is over $17,000 per kid per year. And when you add that up over the size of the school system, $13.5 billion spent on public education in this state. So let's talk about what this money actually buys, okay? Because again, that's what this should all be about. Outcomes. What outcomes?
He loves outcomes. Remember with the healthcare outcomes.
South Carolina SAT scores actually went up this year, which is rare, I know, but they went up from 1019 to 1028. So that's good, right? It actually mirrored the national increase. It was about the same as what the national test scores did. And again, we're behind the national test scores as we've always been for decades, but we at least aren't losing ground, right? So that's good. Not really. Here's the problem. Last year, 56% of graduating seniors in South Carolina took the SAT exam. This year, that number was well below, 46%. And participation matters because, again, generally the larger number of students taking the test, the lower the scores are. You narrow that field down, get selective about who takes the test,
Allie, I
drive the score up a bit. But here's the thing. The last time participation in South Carolina was this low was 3 years ago. And that year, students scored 1064 on the test. So again, compared to that standard, we're losing ground.
What standard?
We saw a similar phenomenon
SAT
with
testing?
the ACT, which is the other big college entrance exam taken.
But see, that's the thing. Like, so he's talking. So one thing the right likes to do, especially those who really think that they're smarter than everybody else, they like to constantly look at numbers, and the left does this too, right? Take numbers and can get cute with them, right? But what I've seen with Will in the documentaries that people keep putting them in. Oh, let's get the other side. Yeah, speak with the guy from Fitz News. Yeah. Oh, the guy that doesn't acknowledge my humanity as a black person. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's put him in there. Let's talk about it. You know, the one thing about Will that I've noticed, and I gotta chill out because I know that he's gonna have a field day one day editing my shit and using it against me. I know he's gonna have somebody's gonna just start editing my shit up and just start using. Please do it. But no, Will does like to fixate on numbers and call them outcomes. What he's doing is cherry picking stats. Essentially, and just so you talk about money spent on per child. If you want to break it down the way he broke it down, and then you want to look at SAT, AC, those are not the only outcomes, and those are not the chief outcomes that people look at. So you can't. And this whole thing of we pour money into something, we have to have this booming ROI. Yes, of course, if you invest in something, if you invest in infrastructure, if you invest in public ed, of course you want to improve the quality of education, the quality of that service, that good, that thing that you build. Of course you want that to be improved, but you can't keep looking at education as money in, the scores don't tell the scores are saying that it's not doing great. The scores are saying this, the numbers are saying. You can't look at education like that. It's too dynamic of a situation. You're not factoring in a lot of other things. You're not factoring in neighborhoods, people, personalities. It's really easy, and including myself, it's easy to just come and present y'all with numbers. What do I try to do though that a Will is never going to do? Is reference, talk to a scholar, talk to an education professional, talk to someone, I don't know, with a fucking PhD in education, perhaps, who has been speaking to this issue, at length, right? I'm going to try to at least do that. I'm trying to undergird my argument with not just cherry pick stats that prove me right, but show you, draw the connection. Even today with Darren Goss and CCF, oh my God, I don't know why I'm so froggy. I'm about to start gargling like salt water. I drink so much tea and honey, it's not even funny. Like, seriously. Seriously, I don't know why my voice is like this. But no, it's just like, yeah, Ali said thought of a name for data washing, perhaps. That's a good phrase. Yeah. Evelyn, you dropped in the chat, totally, there are so many more macro systems, right, at play. And that's the thing, like, he will not like take the macro versus the micro. He won't do that. But if you want to look at this as purely numbers, money in, money out, you can have a field day with that. I could do that. And let me just say this to Will. I don't think he's stupid. I don't think he's an idiot. Not literally. If I say that, I don't want to impugn his intellect. He's being willfully ignorant. he's being willfully obtuse. Yes, I do believe that, right? Because he wants to, we know what time it is with this, right? This is white supremacist culture personified. It is. And I know he's going to take that literally as me calling him a white supremacist. I'm not. It's white supremacy. It's a concept, my dude. But Will is not dumb. Will is not stupid, but he's lazy. He's lazy, and he's coming off, and even his affect, even his persona is self-assured. I'm just boom, mic drop. I said this thing. Y'all click on my content. Y'all watch my content. Y'all love my podcast. All of that, right? Yeah, he's just being lazy here, intellectually lazy. I would love for him to dig a little bit deeper and not just to find things that solidify his stance on this issue. I'd actually love to see him actually be more even with it, because even I can do that. I feel like I can. I don't know. Christy, you said talk to any teacher in the classroom. They can tell you exactly how their students have made gains and improved. No test can do it better than professional in a room. Absolutely. So yeah, I am going to make it stop, Allie. I'm going to make it stop right there. But it's just interesting, the parallels between his argument and the young gentleman from the Hill. Teachers aren't. What did he say? Teachers aren't poor. They're not broke. And again, this started. I'm just going to do this real quick. This started here with this gross
5,000 ones laid out for the teachers to battle for, which was followed by widespread backlash for being, quote,
not disgusting of the teachers, right? Not disgusting, but like this idea was just not thought like this. When I talk to y'all about like really bad philanthropy, and some of the bad philanthropy here does not put people in, doesn't allow folks to be the people that they help or service, doesn't afford them dignity, right? This is not dignified. This is undignified. This is horrible. This is sad. The optics are horrible. You having teachers, and they're not even $5 and $10 bills. They're $1 bills, $5,000 $1 bills on ice. Like, I just think that's really like somebody said in the tweet, you keep calling China dystopian, bitch. Have you been to Sioux Falls, right? Like, this country is just obscene. Let me see what else I had queued up. There was a lot. I want to pivot into the dark money CCF conversation. Let me see if there was anything else. Keep an eye on this. Keep an eye on this.
Says,
I'm not gonna. Just hear me out with this. Then we're gonna get to the
Orangeburg
dark
County
money part.
Chamber of Commerce says President Biden's visit will help draw national attention to what both the city of Orangeburg and South Carolina State have to offer.
Anyone should know that if the President of the United States is visiting your town, then you have something going on. And coming to the commencement for South Carolina State University is a big deal.
Chamber President James McQuilla says the visit could help bring awareness to South Carolina State's.
Okay, so again, I'm going to hop into the dark money conversation. But why'd I play that? Because this shit is about to crescendo. We're going to see way more activism. We're going to see way more, bye, Megsy. We're going to see way more, we're going to see a lot of theatrics and histrionics from the right. Pop up, a lot of protests. I saw yesterday. I took a picture of it, but because I couldn't blur out the person's license plate, I'm seeing more and more "Let's Go Brandon." When I came back from Chicago, from Meekmas in Chicago, I was walking to my car, and parked at the airport. "Let's Go Brandon" on T-shirts, just out there, and that's fine. That, to me, is kind of corny, but like, you're gonna see a lot of the anti-Biden hate really surface up to like, it's just going to be a problem. So that commencement with Joe Biden there is going to bring out a lot of unsavory stuff. I want to play this clip about dark money groups and CRT. Just for some background, some additional
dark money groups are now
additional context about what I'm trying to talk about.
Conservative dark money groups are now pushing the critical race theory debate on a local level, a hyper-local level. This comes as at least 4 states have passed legislation banning lessons about race in the classroom, and the number of states considering the ban continues to rise. An NBC News analysis found at least 165 local and national groups are fueling this discussion among parents and teachers. Recent polling from the Heritage Foundation shows nearly 40% of parents don't know what critical race theory is. Another 25% say they are unsure. NBC News senior reporter Ben Collins joins us now with his reporting on this. Ben, good morning. So your article that just came out this morning, I believe, was fascinating, and it takes a closer look at this movement. So first, explain what you mean by these dark money groups for somebody who just is sort of, spooked by that term. And then also walk us through what's actually happening on these school boards. I mean, I know we've seen meetings swarmed by activists, and in some cases, these groups are aiming to take out the whole board. What's happening?
Yeah, so the dark money groups are, coalitions of people backed by what they say are pro bono lawyers. Sometimes people funding these initiatives on the local level.
Here,
so
in the state,
you might be wondering why this has taken over your town. In a lot of cases, it's from the top down. It's from the national political level down to your town. That's what happened. We covered this happening in Maine, in Cumberland, Maine, where there was a man who just had a year-long fight with their local school district, where he was having this thing called Freedom of Information Act requests filed. Over 54 of them filed against the school district, which allows them to go through their emails and pull out everything they've ever done in that thing. That cost thousands of dollars. That was funded by a national group called No Left Turn in Education.
Wow.
That's not the only one. As you said, there are hundreds of these groups, and there are more school board recalls in the last 6 months, in the first 6 months of this year, than in any other year that it's been tracked.
And among other things,
a school board member about banning critical race theory. What did you learn?
Well, it's sort of nebulous. If you don't know what critical race theory is, and apparently most Americans don't, it's kind of because that's on purpose. Nobody can really seem to define what it is, because it means something different to everyone. Steve Bannon, who used to be very close to Donald Trump, our former president, said that the route to political power now is through the school boards. It's on its way up. This is a political fight that is happening, a national political fight that is happening on the local level, because they think that's how they can win power back, is to go through sort of like the Tea Party.
And any good organizer worth their salt will tell you that relational organizing and a hyper local focus is a successful strategy. That's not something that the right has patent pended. I will say that the right is more disciplined and more stalwart in their attacks on public education. We're seeing some of the bigger symptoms of a larger problem that has been running rampant for decades, right? Again, if you do read A Wolf at the Schoolhouse Door, you'll understand the scope and the magnitude of this problem, this ongoing effort to privatize school. And like I kind of alluded to with my analysis while watching Brianna Joy speak on the Hills Rising, there is a concerted effort to have us normalize exorbitant fees and money tied in with education. There's this concerted effort to anesthetize us to what education, what these efforts are supposed to do, what they're designed to do, and also we're also being anesthetized with this jargon. So I'm playing this as a preamble to the Darren Goss aspect of the story, right? So I'm showing you how conservative dark money groups disrupt, and they're using critical race theory. Now, a couple weeks ago, I think I shared with some of y'all that there was a call that was coordinated by a lot of CCF adjacent groups about CRT, and the call went out to, I guess, predominantly Black organizers and voices and local leaders. I'm just going to say this, and I mean this with so much respect for all those who either attended the call, who are down with it. I'm not stupid. Like, what we can't do is a Black person says, hey, we need to organize against CRT. What I'm seeing is that dark money philanthropy is coming into this conversation and trying to leverage tribalism all, like, hey, okay, you're black, so I'm just not going to question you as much. Trying to leverage tribalism into saying, hey, yeah, we actually are proponents of CRT. This is what we believe. This is what we should be advancing. And I think it's a way to Trojan horse that innovation jargon, that ROI jargon, that philanthrocapitalist jargon that Darren and CCF speak of so often. It's a way to Trojan horse it. I think it's like diet CRT hysteria, if that makes any sense. Now, look, I didn't participate in the call. I just looked at the composition of the call. I looked at who was leading the call. I looked at the organizations. I shared it with trusted friends. They gave me some insight that kind of coincided with what I was thinking intuitively or feeling intuitively, right? And I just didn't think it was worth my time. That was not my audience. Everyone on that, pretty much most people on that call were not positioned to challenge dark money interests, if that makes any sense. But I saw that there's a faction of black leaders here that will sell you CRT hysteria, diet CRT hysteria, and you might say, Mika, that don't make any sense. They're trying to say, no, take out the CRT part, but let's keep the privatization part there. And I can't be complicit in that. I can't be on those calls. My presence on the call, I know I complain about not getting invited to places, but on this front, if you are a CCF adjacent organization, don't call me. Don't call me, because I know what time it is with that. Y'all are trying. It's like a weird trick. It's not even malicious or duplicitous like that. It's just like a thing. People are not asking enough questions. Like, why was it it just didn't make any sense. I think I stopped getting the emails, but I don't know if I don't know if I'm losing y'all. I don't even know how many people is watching me right now, but
10 years ago is to fight through these local battles, make them extremely viral, and then push them to change places like
went off on a tangent, but local organizing, that's always been a go-to. Make every issue local, make elections local. That's why when I'm critical of like a Joey Cunningham or even a Dr. Annie Andrews, I want to know specifically, drill down. I want you to know, I want you to speak to every contour, every rough and round edge of your district. I want you to be able to speak to it. Because this needs to be a local race. I don't need you to score points nationally. I know you need to raise money, y'all. I know money in politics is huge, but I don't need you to just dunk on Nancy Mace on Twitter. I actually need you to actually speak to what you're about versus just, the stuff that we usually see.
And now, Ben, you just mentioned this. You quote Steve Bannon saying that. Help put this in context, though, because it's essentially these tactics that we normally see at the national political level that are playing out in these hyper-local elections. And, of course, you have to keep in mind, really, these have children and their education at the center of them. What kind of implications does this have on other elections?
It can be extremely disruptive. And, by the way, like you said, the children are not part of this fight really in any capacity. Mm-mm. It's local educators, local superintendents, school board administrators, local parents, largely fighting with a much smaller group of people. This was when we were talking about this case in Cumberland, Maine, this was a year-long dogfight over what one small group of parents believed to be the indoctrination of children. It involved a billboard that was booby-trapped of the face of one of the school board administrators. It was a really big, horrific fight for a year. And last week, by the way, it involved Tucker Carlson. It went all the way up to Tucker Carlson through that group, No Left Turn Education. And last week, that school board member sort of cruised to re-election. This is a small minoritarian fight against a much larger reckoning with race in this country.
Yeah, a much larger reckoning with race. Okay, so now what I want to do is read a little bit. So that was the anti-CRT and all the dark money that's funding it. Now I want us to pivot to this PEN America piece, right? And y'all, we've brought up PEN America, their work on education in previous live streams. So this is the title of the article: Scope and Speed of Educational Gag Orders Worsening Across the Country. This was written on December 13th, so fairly recent, right? Monthly roundup December. Let me see. Nope. Okay. Well, this post is part of a blog series from PEN America tracking the progress of educational gag orders and censorious legislative efforts. That's a really good word. Censorious legislative efforts against educational institutions nationwide. These bills are tracked in our index and updated monthly. And there's a hyperlink here, right? Reach out to me if you want a link to this story. It's frightening time to be an educator. As if COVID-19 wasn't enough, our November report, educational gag orders, legislative restrictions on the freedom to read, learn, and teach. Right, so that's the long name of their report. Documented 54 state-level bills around the country that will stifle teaching and learning about race, sex, gender, and American history in schools, universities, and state agencies. Right. Okay. Educators who don't comply could lose already scarce funding or their jobs. Right. And it's getting worse. In the month since the report's release, state lawmakers introduced 12 new bills, bringing the total to a staggering 66 educational gag orders for the year in 26 states, 12 of which have passed into law. Here's what's happening. Right. And you're like, well, Mika, what the hell? I'm in South Carolina. What's going on? Here you go. South Kakalaki right here. Right. So right here, it said the recent group of bills include 7 in Missouri, and 1 each in New Hampshire, New Jersey, North Dakota, Oklahoma, and in South Carolina. I am surprised to see New Jersey on there. That's why I started stammering. I'm like, New Jersey on there? I'm like, okay. There are pockets, though. Some of y'all know that all too well. All right. All 12 of these bills target K through 12 schools. 4 include provisions that would impact colleges and universities, and 4 include focus on state agencies and other state-funded institutions and places of learning. 6 of these bills specifically ban critical race theory, making a total of 20 state bills introduced this year with such explicit prohibitions. So you get the gist of it, right? And you can track these bills here. I'm gonna go here, click on this. See if we can get, okay, cool. So yeah, it's a Google form. Oh, there's a bunch of people in here right now. It's a Google form, and I'm gonna scroll down to South Carolina. Oh, here we go. So here it is here. So South Carolina is H4392. And a lot of y'all have been sent me this before as well. This is pending. Linda Bennett. And Stuart Jones are the co-authors of it. I'm trying to click on it. All right. So this is it. Download this bill. Right. So here you go. You can read the language. Let me just read it here. It's really tiny. I know y'all probably can't see it. Let me just read this here. The Code of Laws of South Carolina 1976 enacts keep partisanship out of civics. It's crazy how they want to reference these old statutes or whatnot. Or whatever they are, keep partisanship out of Civics Act. The things they want to ban from schools, everything but God. And I'm not trying to say I'm not anti-God. I'm not anti-Christian. I was raised by 2 God-fearing parents. My twin brother's a pastor. But what I am against is like the blurring of the boundaries with religion in schools. But you want to keep books out, right? So I invite you to go check out the language in this bill. So you got the people behind, the reps behind it is Linda Bennett and Stuart Jones. Both of those are Republican. All right, let's see what the other fields are here. Okay, so it tells you what the bill is about. This is dope. So they break it down for you. They make it real easy. All right, let me make this. So instead of listening to Fitz News about education, let's just read the fucking legislation that's being proposed in our schools. Okay, so this legislation that again, Linda Bennett and Stuart Jones? Yeah, Stuart Jones. Bars requiring, oh, you can't, they don't let you touch it. I got you. Bars requiring or giving course credit for lobbying or public policy advocacy by students. Wow. Bars private funding for curriculum or professional development for courses on history, civics, United States government and politics, social studies. Wow. Let me read it again. Bars private funding for curriculum or professional development on courses on courses on history, civics, U.S. government and politics, social studies, and similar subject areas. Bars teachers from being able to being compelled to affirm a belief in anything characterized as systemic nature of racism. So this is interesting. This is a new low for South Carolina education. This is a new low. Joy, you kind of validated something I said. You said I'm spot on. You said these groups prey on people who need help and get them to do the work, right? Exactly. But they do not tell them. You talking about that group, right? They're not telling the real story. First, they set schools up to fail, and then the dark money groups swoop in and save the day. That's exactly the narrative there. Let me read that a little bit more smoothly. All right. And this is about that call-in group that, you know what I mean, that I just peep game real quick. I'm like, this ain't my, hey, what's up, new follower? This ain't my battle here. But it was like these groups, let me read it again. These groups prey on people who need help and get them to do the work, but they do not tell them the real story. And I just think that's what's going on. DJ Euphoric Bear, what's up? Southlake, Texas is leading the fight against critical race theory. You ain't never lied. Texas and a lot of these Republican-held states are like the petri dish, for where they test these regressive ass policies at. And their success, especially with like looking at, let's take it out of education and look at a woman's right to choose. Look at Roe v. Wade, like being manhandled right now. You know, facing a very legitimate threat of being repealed because of I'm telling you, Republicans got their shit together when it comes to just being tenacious and dogged. They've been doing this shit for over 40 years. They've been working really hard. Them Koch brothers have been working, put in work. All right, so so dark money groups, let me pivot out of that. I don't want to go there, but I want to invite y'all to please try to Google this article from PEN America, Scope and Speed of Educational Gag Orders Worsening Across the Country. Just know that PEN America is tracking all of that, and you'll see all the specifics in all of these resources that I kind of just glossed over. All right, I'm gonna close that out. I want to get to some of this story. Let me see, Live 5 News. They refreshed though so quick. Let's watch this story. Yeah, please, let's watch it.
We had the opportunity to speak to 3 Black women who are doing the work every single day.
I'm not a fan of Angela Rye.
The Charleston County School District investing millions of dollars into turning around schools that are...
So this is supposed to be like post-COVID recovery, but I'm watching the money.
Quite frankly, falling behind. That money could nearly double if the district approves the latest proposal from a nonprofit organization. Nick Reagan has more.
Yeah, K-Bells.
The Charleston County School District is considering a plan from the Coastal Community Foundation to create community groups that would revitalize struggling schools. The plan would cost the district nearly $32 million.
So when I wasn't bullshitting. Let me go back to that event that I was invited to. Let me just read, I guess, the premise of it. I mean, they sent it to a bunch of people, so they ain't supposed to be private. It was supposed to be private. They didn't tell me. Tamika, you always complain about what you don't get invited to. I do. So basically it was an event early in the month. Emails went out. Might have been as early as late November. So basically it was like, we look forward to connecting with you. This is by the coordinator, one of the coordinators, connecting with you this evening at 6 p.m. for the CRT community meeting, right? Attached, you will find a summary of 5 to 6 bills that we'll be addressing, right? So, I mean, and then they enlisted the help of the ACLU, which is it's positioning CCF adjacent and CCF explicitly positioning them as the heroes while they're actually engineering they're engineering a way to hasten the end of public school, right? To me, that's my characteristic. That might be a little sloppy, but that's just how I look at it. I wanted to look at I'm trying to see if there was like an initial email. I know it was. Let me just look up her by name. Let me see. And I mean, everybody is up on this. Who's this? Anyway, okay, I'm going. Oh, no, there it is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they send it to a lot of people. All right, anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to lose you. I was trying to find a language they were using, but it was supposed to be like, hey, we're tracking these CRT bills. And like one thing about Charleston, and this is not to impugn, let me switch up real quick. This is not to come at anybody's neck, right? This is not to come at anybody's neck. One thing about Charleston, they love the shiny object that is race, right? You say race, you say racism. And I think some people might think that that's what I might traffic in some of that. I don't. I hope that people get, I hope I'm not presenting things very overly simplified, right? But they'll get your attention with an issue. If they want to attract black people who care, like Joy said, people who care about CRT, who care about, access to education, public education, they like to kind of get our attention with the race thing and then do this like shell game thing where they just, okay, you hate CRT, okay, keep your eye on it, and then like you lift up, and it's really weird what they do. The cops did this too with the audit, right? Oh, we're gonna admit to racial bias. So basically people kind of, with the expectation that the larger public, specifically black people, just breathe a sigh of relief, like, ooh, they admitted it. But they admitted it, yo. But they admitted it, right? Okay, I'm gonna have to talk to my neighbor because some of the time I think this is intentional. But no. But like they think that the mere mentioning or the mere recognizing of an issue is analysis, or more importantly, is an actual strategy, and it's not. And so I think a lot of these groups, I think what Darren is doing and CCF is doing is leveraging their relationship with all these other cradle to career leaders, all the heads of like, what is it? Cradle to Career, Trident, Promise. Yeah. Charleston Promise. They're leveraging the relationship with all these EDs, these black women leaders, and who are not questioning the way power flows for whatever reason, not because of anything bad. It's just, they just not doing it. They're leveraging a lot of that relationship and using all these things that get us emotionally charged if you're black, right? And then with the expectation that we come in and we do the work for them. But I got more questions. I got way more questions. All right. Yeah, thanks for dropping the link, D. Joni, you said something in the chat. No, you're not being dramatic. They want to end public schools. Yeah. Yep. It's bait and switch.
But it's far from the first.
Yo, we just had that conversation yesterday, DJ Euphoric Beer. We had that conversation yesterday, like Fernando, when he, like, we got to stop sitting on boards for their diversity clout. Like, it's a wrap.
First community-based idea to cost millions of dollars.
Whoa. Okay. So what is this? Joy, did you share this article this morning on your feed too? Was that you that shared it on Facebook? Because I think I saw it on TV or something, and then I saw you share it. I think you shared something from Live 5 News.
Profit organization.
Let me just bring it back.
Nick Reagan has more.
The Charleston County School District is considering a plan from the Coastal Community Foundation to create community groups that would revitalize struggling schools. The plan would cost the district nearly $32 million, but it's far from the first community-based idea to cost millions of dollars. In 2018, the district started the Shared Future Project that created a group of 30 diverse community members to lay out a vision for the district's future. A variation of that group is still active and making recommendations to the school board. That plan cost at least $370,000. After that, Mission Critical kicked off, which was a set of proposals including the merging or closing of schools. Handpicked community groups were asked to weigh in, and the board ultimately approved many of the proposals. This year, the district has budgeted around $43 million for mission critical proposals. One of those proposals was the creation of acceleration schools. 15 schools identified as underachieving and in need of additional training and support for teachers and administrators. These schools were targeted as potential candidates for public-private partnerships. The budget for acceleration schools is roughly $3.5 million this year. On top of these initiatives, each school is supposed to have a school improvement council comprised of parents, teachers, and community members specifically for addressing academic challenges in individual schools. In Charleston, Nick Reagan, Live 5 News.
I just wanted to let that play without me speaking over it. Yeah. Yikes indeed, for sure. I wanted to pull up some of the materials that were referenced in that piece here, and also something else that was sent to me. I pulled it up first because there's a lot of jargon and there's a lot of language being used. So this was written by yep. Look, shout out to y'all who I know who work for Coastal. Shout out. So this is written by somebody I knew. I didn't know that till I just scrolled. But Coastal Community Foundation Reimagine Schools proposal aims to co-invest with CCSD in the turnaround plans for select schools based on the needs defined by community commissions, right? So I think that call was also probably kicking off that. So this is written by Abigail Darlington. This is public knowledge. Abigail used to work for the Post and Courier. And I've had a conversation with Abigail recently. They kind of broke down when I started challenging, and I don't mind admitting this, it kind of broke down around challenging Coastal's connection with Ben Navarro and Dark Money. And just look, I don't know a lot. Y'all, I'm not Will Folks, whatever his name is. I ain't gonna sit there and tell you that I am the mecca for all information. I just know this. This last year was a whirlwind for me. Working with Cypress opened up my eyes to how this dark money. I was on a call with literal billionaires, literal literal scions, literal heirs to massive wealth in this country and in other places. I was privy to enough conversations. I sat in enough rooms, ear hustled in enough situations to know how this shit works. And no one can move me off of the fact that dark money is literally changing our public school policies that impact our public school system. No one can move me off of that. And not even just my time with Cypress Fund and seeing people use philanthropy, use charity as a way to bring about these changes, use charity to bring dark money into this conversation. No one can move me off that. I don't care how, and I just had to say that. And it wasn't an attack on Abigail. It was just, I remember our conversation broke down, and I really don't mean to bring personal shit in here because I don't have any problem with Abigail personally, but some of the concerns she brought up just weren't founded in the reality that I'm acquainted with, if that makes any sense, right? So I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to be kind of honest about that. So this is what was written from CCF, right? Because largely this is not Abigail's own machinations. This is policy that they're promoting, right? This is initiatives rather that they're promoting from Coastal. Coastal Community Foundation is proposing Reimagine Schools, a bold strategic co-investment with Charleston County School District to create 3 inclusive community commissions that will determine turnaround plans for many of the underperforming, see, and the language is already fucked up, underperforming schools in their communities located in the most economically challenged areas of the school district. The goal is to ensure that strategies for rapid improvement. Why is rapid improvement? Why I gotta be rapid? The goal is to ensure that strategies for rapid improvement are developed by local parents and educators alongside CCSD elected leaders, and that the learning environments reflect what students truly need to succeed based on their lived experiences and community context. CCF will present the proposal to Charleston County. They did that already. On 13th, we saw that there. Reimagine Schools proposal is rooted in the belief that all students are capable of learning and achieving their goals, but in economically challenged communities. This has been Navarro. This is it right here. This is Meeting Street Schools talk. Reimagine Schools is rooted in the belief that all students are capable of learning and achieving their goals, but in economically challenged communities. Again, this is a way to delicately racialize poverty and racialize poor outcomes and low performance. All this talk is damaging language, right? I got you, Joy. I got you in the chat because I'm gonna go in a second. Yes. Where we at? Rooted in. Y'all, whenever you see rooted in, just we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about woke speak a little bit later. All right. This is not about the author of this. Damn it. This is not about the author of this piece. This is just observation on how these. This is how Cypress talks. This is how Cypress Front talks. This is how my former boss talks. Right. Rooted in the belief that all students are capable of learning and achieving their goals, but in economically challenged communities, it's been proven. So don't attack the issue that creates the chasm, that creates the lack of access. You want to just continue to have influence. You want to, you know what I mean? Don't attack the issue that leads to segregation, de facto segregation or otherwise. You know, right? I think so, Evelyn. That's going to be one unintended consequence for real. Let me see something. Yeah, charter schools. Yeah, K-Bells. Keep an eye on that. Joy, you said this in the chat, and I really appreciate you weighing in because I really, I'm not at the forefront of this fight. Y'all are. CCF has given money to RISE, the group who is gathering folks to speak for that reimagined proposal. The chair of RISE is Josh Bell. Let me read. Y'all, come on now. Coalition for Kids, Dark Money. Come on now. Come on, Teach for America. Come on. Let's go. CCF is giving money to RISE. I know that. And again, I've been working at, like, I'm not trying to tout, like, oh, Tamika, you know everything. No. I've been proximate to how these systems work for a long time, even with Black Voters Matter, right? Like, so I go to the polls on election day, right? Who's out there? RISE. Who RISE is out there. They hire some individuals that be out there to hand out material, to put T-shirts on these people, it's a big charade. It's a big thing. RISE is just that's not even an important part of how problematic RISE is, right? Joy, you said earlier too. Connect the dots. Share Future, John Reed, right, who's currently working with CCF. Like so when I create a thumbnail that I know turned people off today, I know it did. I'm not pulling this out my ass. I'm not pulling this shit out my ass. If this was so, why is CCF the common denominator in all of these organizations? No one is no one is afraid that CCF is monopolizing, taking up too much space in this conversation. Is it just harebrained live streamers? Right? Or like help me. And people wanted me to feel better about Darren's work. I'm like, why do you have to work so hard to make me feel better about something I just don't know and trust? Especially if Josh Bell is at the helm of a lot of these initiatives, and Ben Navarro and his products, Anita Zucker and her movement, right? So anyway, I don't know. I got really charged up just reading that part. Their goals economically challenged, proven to be essential. We also believe that when we invite teachers, parents, students, grandparents, that sounds real wholesome. When we invite teachers, parents, students, grandparents, and civic leaders to the table to rethink that's how they get us. That's how Josh got me. This might as well be Coalition for Kids. That's how they got me. Couldn't tell me that call wasn't about this. Wasn't a part of the strategy. And then like this mentioning of these really predominantly Black areas are somewhat still holding on to maybe some, I don't know if Johns Island's still majority Black. Wamalaw's hanging on by a thread. It won't be majority Black, in 5 years. Yeah. One joint commission will support the feeder patterns in Hollywood, Ravenel, and Johns Island. Damn. Let me see what's going on over here. The question I keep, Joy, you asked this, the question I keep asking and have never gotten an answer for, what qualifies CCF to manage our schools? Period. Now listen! I'm just going to play the now listen part. Like, period. Right? I really do want to know. And also, why are they so interested in education? Like, why? We know why. That part is rhetorical, but kind of rhetorical, right? So let's get to the dark money part. Like okay, Mika, you're saying all this stuff. Like, let's see. I don't know if there's something that can illustrate dark money in schools. Let me see. Yeah, that was a PBS Frontline, I think. That I think I'm gonna play the trailer for. Oh no, but let's go back here. So this is 2019. This is Denver, right? We talked about Texas being battleground, but there's some other states that have been consistently making noise, and I think Denver, Colorado in general. Colorado, you got Bobert out there somewhere messing around. So it's kind of a hot spot over there. Let's just.
All these mailings.
Oh man, this doesn't sound good. I don't know if the volume sounds good on your end. Let me see. It sounds weird in my ear.
It's a dark influence on our local elections, even piquing the interest of Hollywood.
They send out all these mailings. They don't care if they lie.
Nobody knows who they are. They call them dark money.
Can y'all
groups.
hear this?
Exactly
I'm barely hearing it.
This year, those dark money groups are spending hundreds of thousands in Denver's school board elections on board members who don't even get paid.
The voters are being gulled into thinking that these are good candidates.
That's problematic. That's not really our values.
So here's how it works. Wealthy individuals like the Koch brothers, Bloomberg, and the Waltons funnel money to dark money groups or IECs. They then send out fancy mailers and make calls on behalf of candidates. And once the candidate gets elected, the expectation is they support the agenda of the corporation.
Coalition for Kids candidates on school board.
Author Jane Mayer wrote a book about it.
A huge amount of secret spending on American politics. I just followed the money, and it kept leading back to the Koch brothers.
Here's how it's connected to the Denver School Board. There are 3 candidates in each of the 3 races, District 1, District 5, and at large. 9 candidates total, but only 3, one in each race, appear to be getting dark money. So why these 3 candidates? And why pump that much money into a local school board race?
Listen.
We asked 2 of their opponents.
I see a direct correlation to the policies of the last decade, and those policies have been put in place by candidates whose campaigns were funded and driven and then agendized by outside corporate interests.
Makes you wonder, what about a voluntary position on the school board is so attractive?
It's hidden. That's where the term dark money is coming from. We don't always see, but they obviously know what they're getting out of it.
More on that in a moment. What we know is this: the money is flooding in. Denver 7 has crunched the numbers. One dark money group is called Students for Education Reform, or SFR. It's based out of New York City.
Look at that.
From July 30th through October 15th, SFR has donated $164,000 to benefit 3 candidates, $80,000 to Alexis Menacall Harrigan, $42,000 to Diana Romero Campbell, and $41,000 to Tony Curcio. A group called Stand for Children, or Better Schools for a Stronger Colorado, has also pumped in thousands.
The type of money that is flowing into this race,
I don't know why they got this music playing.
It's important to note dark money is different than most in-state campaign contributions. Those small donations are called hard money. An example would be the $100 or $1,000 donation from a family member or the teachers union. Scott Balderman has benefited from a teachers union endorsement and his own wealth, but not dark money.
I feel like over the last 10 to 15 years, our Board of Education has been beholden to these out-of-state interests.
Dark money contributions can't be spent directly by the campaign, so they're used for things like these fancy color mailers that go out on behalf of the candidates. In the case of SFR, line items show dark money is even paying for rent in offices for temporary canvas crews who go door to door.
Oh, that's definitely a thing. That's definitely a thing. Let me go to some old reporting. Dark money, Charleston School Board Coalition for Kids. Let's just go back to some oldie but goodie. Oh wow, this is actually fairly. Did I read this to y'all? Oh yeah, they updated. This is Paul's piece. I'm about to say the initial date said it was like just a couple months ago. You see right here, it said October 10. I'm like, wait, hold on, what? But this is Paul Bowers before he was let go from Post and Courier. So activists speak who pumped dark money into Charleston school board race and why. So hello, around that same time in that Denver piece, that was from 2019, right? A recent retiree with a career's worth of experience in public education, Paul Padron, took $3,000 out of his savings account and figured that'd be enough to campaign to run for Charleston School Board in 2018. I didn't know what dark money was. Is it Padron or is it I don't whatever. I got you. No disrespect, Paul. Paul P. He said he had no idea. Padron's campaign war chest, along with all of the other candidates, was eclipsed by the spending of newly formed nonprofit, the Coalition for Kids, right, with no public disclosures of its fundraising and a few hints about its political agenda, right? It dumped hundreds of thousands of dollars into advertisements for a slate of candidates, right? So Coalition for Kids, we already went here, but this. So just a reminder, that's just a refresher. The same thing we just saw in that video is what we saw here. And that's, again, I've been very vocal about, let me see if we can find Meeting Street schools. And like the influencer, let me see something. If we can find that video that I played a couple months ago when I did the Ben Navarro live stream. It might, 2 years ago, no. It was Ben Navarro, Josh Bell. I think it was just Ben Navarro. Let me see, Ben Navarro, Josh Bell. So y'all saying that he heads up. Yeah, here it is. Here, right. So this was the whole announcement. Hey, Philanthropy's gonna save us. Yeah. Big billion. We gotta, And here's Josh Bell right here. Right. So when you talk about, oh, what's dark money, Tamika, these are just people who care about education. Please understand that if you trust a billionaire over what I'm even alleging or asserting, then you really y'all gotta do some prayer counseling.
I'd like to introduce Ben.
All right, so he was the director.
I'd like to introduce Ben
of the Meeting Street Scholarship Fund. I don't know if he's still the director of the Meeting Street Scholarship Fund, but this made major news as well. This scholarship.
Navarro, who is the founder and visionary, along with his wife Kelly, of the Meeting Street Scholarship Fund,
it's Josh,
to give some remarks and context about this incredible opportunity. So if you'll give a big round of applause to Ben Navarro.
That's all you need to see. And then when you do your Googles on Josh Bell, I'm gonna do Rise, Charleston Rise. And the way that they, I'm gonna just be real with you. They hire Rise on election day specifically. They hire They hire low wage earning people of color to go out at the polls on election day, wear a T-shirt, and hand out their propaganda. Right. So when I see that type of strategy, I already know what time it is for them. Right. I already know, and they love to racialize. Like, okay, so he's on LinkedIn. I'm not on LinkedIn. I'm not gonna click it. Well, I'm on. Y'all probably see me on LinkedIn when I was a blogger, but I haven't updated it. Who wrote? Is this? Who wrote this? Who wrote this? This is an opinion by who? Who wrote this? Oh, okay. Allison Mackey, QEP. Okay. Is this critical of Josh? Voters must be diligent about getting informed before the election. Yeah, I remember QEP popping off. So this is February. This is early in this year. Former Charleston County School Board member files lawsuit. Oh, I know that's yeah. Charleston Rise. So yeah, Josh is right here. Okay. Yeah, executive director, Coalition for Kids. Yeah, but his proximity to Charleston Rise is his relationship, rather, not even proximity. His relationship is sketchy. All right, what you saying in the Honor? You said Paul was let go 5 days after the article was published. Yeah, but that was on some other stuff. I got the insight on that. It was a combination. It was a combo, but it was more so some other stuff. You probably already know about that. I ain't gonna say it live though. And PSC published a rebuttal from. Oh, they did? I didn't know that. Josh Bell is now the chairman of the Charleston Rise board of director. Right. He just keeps on failing up, huh? The past 2 elections, the faces who end up being elected on dark money flyers: Eric Mack, Cindy Coates, Joyce Green, Kate Darby, Courtney Waters, and Lauren. Yep. So those are the new, y'all. Those are the names of the folks who are dark money recipients currently on our Charleston County School Board. All right. The faces who end up being elected on dark money flyers: Eric Mack, Dr. Eric Mack, and yep, used to go to church with him when I was a little girl. Wamala. Dr. Eric Mack, Reverend Dr. Eric Mack, Cindy Coates, Joyce Green, Kate Darby, Courtney Waters, and Lauren. Is it Hertrich? Horrible. Oh, look, somebody did a live stream. Who's that? Who's that? But yeah, there's a lot of propaganda from Meeting Street Schools here. And again, we watched this TED Talk where called it, look, they try to be cute, calling it Schoolhouse Rock, but it's really about privatizing schools, right? Let me see what else I had up here. So we read from Abigail's piece. I wanted to read from this too. And keep me honest in the chat. So donor advised funds hide philanthropy's dark money, right? Donor advised funds hide philanthropy's dark money. I know some of y'all was like, look, I just want to give on Giving Tuesday and just like not feel bad about shit. I'm like, me too, but you know, I don't want to believe in climate change either, but some of the shit is inconvenient but fucking real as fuck. I'm not saying I was ever a climate denier, but I mean, when I think about like Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth, like that title, it's been sticking with me, especially this morning. It's like a lot of stuff that I broach is very inconvenient for people, and I want to acknowledge that, but doesn't mean it is not, like there's not legitimate grievances here. And no, do I have a solution? Challenge power. All right, so this piece, we're going to read this. Okay. Donor advised funds offer huge advantages to wealthy funders with little transparency or accountability, right? What needs to change in order to create trust in this donation structure? Someone dropped, how are donor advised? Let me stop. I was going to beg a question. Let me just read something. Okay. All right, let's just keep reading this. All right. There's no transparency in donor advised funds. This makes me, I don't want to do this. Dark money. And the thing is too, like, this is the thing that really people don't want to admit, is that the left loves dark money too, right? The left loves dark money too. So neo-philanthropy, because if we're going to talk about donor advised funds, right? Advantages that wealthy funders, little transparency. I'm going to put myself on blast. So I didn't know this. This is probably why I got let go, because I was going to keep questioning. I was that bratty girl. But why? But who? What do you mean? But why? But what's the money coming from? But why? That was me at Cypress. Anyway, so donor advised funds offer huge advantages to wealthy funders with little transparency or accountability. So the fiscal sponsor for the Cypress Fund, which I think is still operational, is Neo-Philanthropy. Right? So Neo-Philanthropy, when I got fired, a representative for Neo-Philanthropy sat in on the Zoom call when I got fired abruptly. And so, of course, I immediately, I'm gonna let y'all into this. I immediately went and sought out legal counsel out of state, because out of state for a number of reasons. But I was so grateful. I did that because I wanted a mount of defense. But then what I did, I let my lawyers rock, right? My initial group of lawyers rock and figure out if we were gonna like sue. I didn't sue. I didn't sign the NDA that they wanted me to sign. I just kind of like, and you know what? I'm gonna speak my truth on my platform about Cypress, my time at Cypress. But what I did do, like a lot of employees that might have been let go unfairly and really abruptly and have your health care end at the end of the week, like mine did, I just started trying to find some information on well, what is neo-philanthropy? Because you said that Neo says this, right? This is neo-philanthropy. I just want y'all to know this is how the left love dark money too. And this whole past couple years, I know I'm probably just some people that really like me, you fucking up the game. I know. So this is neo-philanthropy, right? This is their page, right? They're fiscal sponsors. So I'm gonna let them characterize what they do, right? And I'm just reading from them. I'm not saying anything. I'm just nothing that's not real. This is on their website. We're here for those who want to outsource their finance and administration roles. Now, I was told when I joined that neo-philanthropy was a fiscal sponsor that helped do just that. Like, hey, they manage our finances as we become a fund and we grow up to be a bigger fund. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So as a fiscal sponsor, NEO acts as the umbrella organization for individual projects, charitable work, and accepts and administers funds on behalf of that group, right? Fiscal sponsor at NEO gives groups a nonprofit home and allow them to focus on their programmatic work, right? So that's how they characterize their work. If you look up any criticism on NEO, you'll get this. Now, this is right wing, far right, come at your neck, But let me keep them on. Let me see if they being real though. Let me see if they being honest. This the left, y'all. So this is what CCF. This is what y'all. It's a tangled fucking web. You just get out of that whole thing where the right is all wrong and the left is all right. Get that shit out. Get that out completely out your head, because they do the same shit, right? Right? Okay. He says, you're right. The corporations versus the people, not simple as R's and D's anymore. It's not. It's so complicated, Honor. So the left's dark money coordinator, just passing through, right? So who is? I have not read this that closely, but I've read enough. All right, so Donald Ross co-crafting PIRG model alongside Nader in their 1971 book, Action for Change, right there. So this is it. This is a far right, whatever. I'm scared to click on this person's Twitter because I'm scared what I might see. So the left's dark money coordinator, all right? It's a full series. Ooh, I will be reading this. Okay, summary. Neo-philanthropy is one of the left's best kept dark money secrets, commanding hundreds of millions of dollars. The group plays a role in incubating dozens of new activist groups, in the South, dozens of new activist groups, and coordinating left-wing efforts to alter the landscape of American politics. Now, they're probably seeing this as a threat. I'm seeing it as more so about the dark money issue. They're probably seeing the politics of the left as a threat, as an issue. But it's, to me, how the money moves is what I'm preoccupied with, right? Because they both do it. Little is known about what kind of projects Neo-Philanthropy sponsors in its early days, but according to Michelle Lord, it was always intended to serve as an incubator for the left-wing groups that weren't prepared to pursue tax exemption, nonprofit recognition, also avoid a lot of other bullshit with the IRS. So right, NEO was a back room for lots of organizations that did not have their own 501c3 status. In 1983 until the 2000, Neo-Philanthropy or public, again, this is the fiscal sponsor of my previous employer, so I'm kind of putting myself on blast here too, right? So from 1983 until 2000, Neo-Philanthropy or public interest projects, that PIP projects as it was known, was relatively modest operation. In 2001, for example, the group reported revenues of $3.1 million, right? But in 2017, that figure was about $45 million, an increase of about 1,400% in just 16 years. Around 2008, Neo-Philanthropy adopted a current name under a larger effort to rebrand itself as a key part of the institutional left, right? So I said this before, think of, they got some corporations right here. Okay, along with the name change came substantial shift toward alliance building. Hear me? With major foundations, namely Carnegie Corporation of New York. Carnegie was a biggin. Ford Foundation, Knight, Mertz Gilmore, and Open Society Foundations, right? Right. So when you hear some of the grumblings about Soros, and that's actually has some merit to it. Don't listen to the extreme takes on that, but there's some merit to it. This is how they move, y'all. This is how they move. All right, these and other grant makers will provide continual funding to dozens of fiscally sponsored projects, all hosted by NEO. So Cypress pays exorbitant fees to have this kind of fiscal sponsorship. It ain't free either. Helen Fraser was a supporter of Maurice Washington before she was elected in his former employee at CCSD. So in my opinion, was likely already aligned. What are you talking about? Something else? Problematic on both sides. Yep, Joy. All these groups above plus. Oh, okay. I gotcha. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It is. Yeah. Let me just click on his. Let's see what. Senior investigative reporter. It's real right wing, y'all. Look, right? It's the Washington Free Beacon. But he ain't get it too wrong. This is Influence Watch. I have not clicked on this link. This is Influence Watch. So I don't know who runs this. Probably right wing. It's so funny to see the right wing go after dark money. I'm like, y'all invented dark money. What the fuck? Like, what you talking about? Right? It's so funny when the right goes after it. I'm like, it's like the Spider-Man meme. I'm like, so this is the Influence Watch. I don't know who's behind this. They got revenue over here. So revenue $58 billion, expenses $45 billion, assets $34 million and change. Right. Inside Philanthropy is described, Neo described as an intermediary that does not own resources for grant making. The group receives funding from major center-left donors, including the Atlantic Philanthropy's George Soros. See, I didn't even. George Soros, Open Society Foundations, the Ford Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation, the Guild. It sounds like the end of a NPR. It does sound like the end of a PBS NewsHour. Pew Charitable Trust. And viewers like you, right? But that's all in there, right? But so what does this mean? Does it mean that we can't, NPR and all that? No, it just means that this is how money flows. This is how money flows. This is how these charities and these philanthropic institutions flow. Not all of them are created equal. Not all of them do the same thing. Not all of them are trying to hide. But it's just showing you where the money's at, and then I'm showing you where it's at on the left. So what I wanted to do. Honor, can you just drop in the chat why we should be alerted to donor advised funds? What's your take in terms of talking about dark money in our school systems here? If you feel just anything you can offer to this, the donor advised funds part, right? So I'm going to read the article though. It says rules they say are made to be broken. This is not necessary when it comes to the rules designed to promote transparency in foundations. All right. So this is going back to my research and getting off of neo-philanthropy, getting off of Cyprus and getting back to business with education here. Right. They're so ineffectual that there's no need to break them. Billions of dollars of philanthropic dark money are flowing into so-called donor advised funds, the black boxes of philanthropy. Okay. Private foundations and charities, meantime, have devised their own ways to avoid public scrutiny. Okay? All right. This is a problem for a couple of reasons. First, the money flowing into foundations and nonprofits is tax subsidized. Donations are tax deductible. As are most earnings from investments. In order to judge whether the tax subsidies are beneficial, the people and their elected representatives should know where the money comes from. Period. Second, big time philanthropy is an exercise of power. The charter school movement, environmental activism, Washington think tanks of every stripe, these are all fueled by charitable dollars. By deploying dark money, the wealthy escape accountability. All right. Okay. I see. Okay. So, but this is what CCF, going back to CCF. Let me see something. I guess that's the question I was asking was like, the question I was trying to ask, I probably asked it sloppily. Okay. Create a fund. This is from Coastal's page as well, Coastal's website. Coastal Community Foundation has a variety of fund types that can be used to meet donors' individual, family, or corporate charitable goals. Listed below are fund types that can be used alone or in combination. If you're ready to get started creating your own fund at Coastal Foundation, hit somebody up, okay? These types of funds. So let's get to donor advised. So this is from Coastal's page, right? Again, let me just reiterate that. Coastal Community Foundation has a variety of fund types that can be used to meet donors' individual, family, or corporate or charitable goals, right? All right, let's go down here. All right, donor advised funds are a flexible tool for charitable giving. Flexible is an interesting word. So replace flexible with hidden, dark, zero transparency, right? Donor advised funds are a flexible tool for charitable giving, operating much like your own private foundation. You can contribute appreciated assets to your fund, benefit from an immediate charitable deduction, and avoid capital gains tax. Yikes. You can do this. You can do this when it's most convenient for you, and then recommend gifts over time to nonprofit organizations of your choice. You can select the fund. You can select the fund name and enjoy making grants and organizations committed to causes. The foundation provides administrative services for your fund. Yada yada yada. So this is just one. This is just the services at Coastal, but it's also part of the problem that I'm trying to outline here. Okay, social impact investors are people making 10% return on investment, making 10% interest on CCF's interventions, right? All right, the public schools are now a financial tool, right? So that's a good question. Also in question is the social impact investors involved in CCF initiatives, right? Okay. So it's just another way. Like when these charities get to a certain level, I think it's on us to really investigate, how things are flowing, why they're flowing the way they're flowing, and the services and tools offered up by CCF. They sound really good in theory, but I don't know if people spend enough time. And I'm not saying like all of this gets thrown away. I think there's usefulness for some of this stuff, oddly enough. But it's the lack of transparency. And then also what we know is the hidden agenda behind some of this. The hidden agendas behind some of this. The whole public school innovation, what they are not, right? I'm not going to read from this. We've kind of covered this before. But we know that this is Coastal stance on this, right? Co-investment. So, I don't even want to ask, because I don't know if I'm gonna get an answer. All right, well, I'm gonna leave it there. I don't know how good I did this. This was a lot. No, wait, I wanted to do something else. No, hold up. I wanted to just play a little bit of the Dark Money Frontline like teaser. That's it. I want to play two PBS trailers brought to you by the Carnegie Foundation, MacArthur Fund. I want to play about dark money. So we're going to do this. The trailer, this from 2018, right?
The number one rule of political or watchdog reporting is follow the money.
John Adams here. I covered the legislature for the Great Falls Tribune. A source of mine had come across something that I might be interested in. Voters in your district had never seen something.
No, this was a whole new political attack.
They send out all these mailings. They don't care if they lie.
Nobody knows who they are. They call them dark money groups, and that's exactly what they are.
Corporation funnels money to a dark money group. They send out postcards attacking the opponent. When that candidate gets elected, they support the agenda of the corporation.
I don't know how to fight them. I can't pick up the phone and say, hey, what's your interest in candidate X? Because I don't know who they are. And it's not just
There you go,
Montana.
Brianna.
Campaign finance is the gateway to every other issue that you might care about.
Americans are barraged by these political advertisements that are funded by who knows whom. We don't even know if they're domestic.
Politics is just child's play to business. They know how to manipulate the system.
You can buy the politicians, you can buy the judges.
When I first got to the FEC,
And
I
so
thought
we know what politician locally that we've been talking about over the last since I started live streaming. Nancy Mace, that's Americans for Prosperity. That's Koch brothers, right? When you just heard it. Once you buy the politicians, they got to do. Once they in pocket, they got to do your bidding. So now we're looking at a lot of movement that you see from Nancy Mace. It's not even her own movement. Some of it is her own shenanigans and whatnot, but a lot of it is driven by the Koch brothers and other special interests that have backed her.
that we would work together on issues such as disclosure.
If A fails 3-3, Oceans fails 3-3, that fails 3-3.
The FEC will not enforce the law.
New allegations in court against a leading...
So, Joy, you had asked the question. I missed this. I don't know how I missed this. You said earlier, real question is, so what does CCF actually do? It seems like they create funds and then pass the money. Exactly. They feel like a NEO to me in some respects, but NEO is not out here trying to spearhead legislation and speak before school boards and stuff like that. They're not trying to author policy, at least not explicitly. I think that the groups that they back are doing the work. I think there's an expectation and perhaps a culture and some understood things that are either said or not said. There's another group I want y'all to watch. Ooh, what is the other group? What is the other group? What is the other group? Oh my gosh. Hold on let me just let this play. I'm gonna find something.
Legislator.
What's at stake is whether or not Art Whittick broke Montana campaign finance laws.
Do we care enough to demand that politicians comply with our campaign laws?
The bottom line is, did Whittick know that he was receiving all of these services?
I'm going to call it like I see it. This man cheated.
The people who want to keep dark money have a real problem. The public does not agree with them.
They want a government that works for them. It doesn't work for special interests, doesn't work for political parties, it works for them.
This is scary stuff, but I think this is the proving ground now for the American experiment.
I'm gonna play the other one real quick. The other clip real quick. I know it's real, hopefully less scoring.
Covered the legislature for the Great Falls Tribune. A source of mine had come across something that I might be interested in. Voters in your district had never seen something.
No, this was a whole new political attack.
They send out all these mailings. They don't care if they lie.
Nobody knows who they are. They call them dark money groups, and that's exactly what they are.
Corporation funnels money to a dark money group. They send out postcards attacking the opponent. When that candidate gets elected, they support the agenda of the corporation.
I don't know how to fight them. I can't pick up the phone and say, hey, what's your interest in candidate X? Because I don't know who they are.
And it's not just Montana.
Campaign finance is the gateway to every other issue that you might care about.
Americans are barraged by these political advertisements that are funded by who knows whom. We don't even know if they're domestic.
Politics is just child's play.
Oh, yeah. All right, so we already watched that. I thought it was going to be different. Sorry, y'all. I didn't mean to make y'all sit through that twice. I was trying to look for something. There's another one. I'm just going to Google it and be reckless out here, baby. This another group. Let's see if my former boss is over here still. I'm being real messy real quick because I'm just throwing shit up here. But Solidaire is another group. So who we are, So let me how do I say this? So there's I thought I was doing something. I was doing the opposite. I thought I was working for a group that was trying to bring about radical change, transformative change, dismantle white supremacy. I was actually a part of something else, which is the funder complex, which is that philanthrocapitalism that I often lift up. Some of the biggest arbiters in that on the left, right? So Solidaire and neo-philanthropy, keep those two, tuck those away, okay, if they ever pop up. So born out of a need to fight against corporate greed, economic inequality, climate change, gender and racial, say all the buzzwords, y'all. Gender and racial injustice, anti-blackness. Solidaire Network is a community of donor organizers who mobilize and to quickly get critical resources unprecedented amounts. I think so. What I want to say is I don't have as much exposure to Solidaire. I've just been around a lot of Solidaire employees and contractors, right? And so what I guess from the grant making capacity of Solidaire, right, that this is another way to make to infuse movements with a lot of cash, then thusly creating opportunity for these groups to be infiltrated by other special interests. That's my framing of Solidaire, right? I don't know if anybody else here is familiar with Solidaire. I don't know if anybody who's lurking, some people who are not in community with me, who watch me and who mine for juicy tidbits or masquerade as supporters. I don't know if y'all know a lot about Solidaire. I felt compelled to say that. Y'all know that everybody who watches and who chimes in is not my friend. Y'all know that though, right? Good thing I know a lot of y'all and that we meet up in person and real stuff. But anyway, I think I think this is another way to float a lot of dark money. Because I found myself on a lot of calls. A lot of these political groups, I'm gonna throw like a lot of these political groups pop up at interesting times during interesting moments in history, and I think we need to watch it. And I think we need to watch it, especially when it comes to philanthropy. We can no longer afford to see philanthropy as purely just people trying to do good things. There are other interests at work. And I really hope that people understand that interrogating all of the power that Coastal has amassed over the years, you really should do it. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be very inconvenient and unsettling. But it's important to, let me see what you just dropped in here. It's important to kind of just like do that exercise. Yeah, we showed this picture before. Was there anything specific about this? This drop? Was there anything specific? Because we showed this before. Does it mention the? Okay, so okay, let me just contextualize for those who haven't seen this before. This is because if you weren't on it, I got you. In this statement you said. So Meeting Street Schools, that's spearheaded by a billionaire, Ben Navarro, billionaire debt collector. Remember, he was the one of the biggest debt collectors during the pandemic. While even the big boys fell back, Ben was like, nah, run me my money. And then he was often collecting debt that was not even supposed to be collected, like that was charged off, so to speak. This is Ben Navarro, situated behind our governor, Henry McMaster. This is Meeting Street Schools logo. This is at Meeting Street Schools. Of course, you got black kids flocking him. This is really icky. And on this right here alone, like, people should just like, come on. Anyway, the optics is what I'm responding to. So this is, so I just told you about Meeting Street. I just told you about McMaster. I told you about Navarro. But who posted this? Coastal posted this. Okay? So Coastal posted this back in April. We are celebrating a big win for today, our policy agenda. Say that again. So people who struggle with my analysis or struggle with my probing into this, please understand it. To Anna's point, this is mic drop right here. So you want to tell me that this is not about privatizing schools? You want to tell me that, no, this is a good thing? You want to tell me that the Education Lab series from the Post and Courier, it should just be taken for what should be just taken at face value, and we shouldn't even question it? For those who assert that and who will hit me up later and like, you got it wrong, this is a good thing, we're helping poor black kids get better outcomes in schools, I just want to say, people who don't want to view Coastal CCF as a power broker, please stop. Just please stop. And the only reason why I'm saying that so much, y'all, is because it comes at me so much. Stop. Like, please stop. And when we gonna get to the point where you are not your job? Like if like, you know what I mean? Like you are not your job. You're not coastal. All right, we are celebrating a big win for today. Our policy agenda, the Schools of Innovation bill, which was one of our policy priorities this year, was signed into law by Governor McMaster. We believe that public schools of innovation, that's very specific. That's not the public schools you and I grew up with. Public schools of innovation. Well, I'm older than a lot of people, but you get what I'm saying. Public schools of innovation can be a powerful tool to advance equity in education in South Carolina. However, we believe school districts across South Carolina should take additional measures than what's in state law. So far away from me, to ensure the establishing communities. Let me skip down. We will be working with local educators, community members, just like that paper that we just read, right? We will be working with local educators, community members, and school districts to provide support as they navigate how to apply new educational tools. Yeah. All right. Another fun game of connect the dots. Elusive CCS plans. Yeah, take it further. So I'm gonna just be real with you. Anybody on the side of Ben Navarro and Meeting Street Academy, you can go ahead and we don't have nothing to say. If you want to argue that with me, I am not the audience for that. We've seen enough with Coalition. I just showed you Josh Bell embracing Ben Navarro. We see Josh Bell lead up a lot of these Ben Navarro adjacent organizations. We've seen Dark Money come in and flood our local elections, right? We've seen all of that. So you really can't defend Ben Navarro to me. I'm just not the audience for it. I'm not the audience for it. Yeah, it was a lot here. We didn't even get to this story. South Carolina Department of Education completes review of school library book process. That's so sad. This is gonna the South Carolina South Carolina Department of Education presented the findings from its review into how districts select books for their libraries on Tuesday. This is sad. The review stems from this is just a full-on assault on our schools, y'all. That's all I can say. It's an attack on our schools. Period. All right, I think I'm gonna leave it there. I'm a little tired. I didn't even get to this race here. Right. In his reimagined proposal, Darren Goss and Caroline Belcher specifically talked about implementing Meeting Street Schools model. Yeah. Who was the black woman? Who was the one black woman? Where was that at, K Bells? And in the coastal piece? I don't know. So what they do, and Coalition for Kids did this expertly. They like hiring unassuming black, and I'm not saying that like they're not dumb, but a lot of black women actually are EDs of these nonprofits, right? So can somebody real quick drop the relationship Charleston Neighborhood Promise? Is that coalition? Like who is that connect? Charleston Neighborhood Promise, is that Zucker or is that Navarro or is that both? Charleston Neighborhood Promise. Because this is where I really started to pay attention. Is it a Promise? What is it? Promise? Charleston Promise Neighborhood is Zucker. Okay. And remember that came on my radar when they did the whole what was it? Gentrification. This how it's in everything. It's in housing, it's in education, gentrification, Charleston Promise Neighborhood. I spelled gentrification real wrong. Right. So this was this is where I got into I already talked about this. I had fallout from this right here. So basically they created this program. This is the reason why I'm bringing this up is because you asked about the Soul Black Woman. Charleston Promise Neighborhood also has a black ED. So you got a black face spearheading some of this really aggressively heinous policy making. It hits different. Black people don't challenge it enough. This is what I was looking for. So so this event is what I railed against. I'm still getting people kind of like subtweet me about my stance on this, which is like so easy to understand. So they came up with this. Charleston Promise Neighborhood created like an advisory panel of young influencers that are not education specialists or not gentrification city planning specialists, right? But they created this. They used the influencer model to basically sell you, hey, gentrification is not a bad thing. You actually should accept the fact that gentrification is happening to you and your community, right? And it's black led, and the advisory panel of the influencers were black. And I pushed back immediately because, first of all, they took Lauryn Hill's iconic album cover, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, and they used that to create the miseducation of gentrification, which is very problematic. And so this was led by Charleston Promise Neighborhood, and they were saying that the flyer reads, it says, whatever. So they got people together. It was an engagement council, just like the conversation, the language you're hearing now. Oh, we've assembled a panel of community members and leaders and people who just don't really like understand how this shit really works. Not yet, at least. And so they were really trying to sit down at Burke High School and tell us that gentrification was okay, right? And it was really, really, really gnarly. And they could not get panelists for it. I was behind the scenes. I was friends, not anymore, but I was friends with a lot of people they reached out to. And you could see that they were just trying to get influencers to sit on stage and talk about subject matter they had no business talking about. But this is how dark money flows. So these are the efforts that you're seeing CCF also emulates, or even architects. We're going to assemble these panels, these advisory boards. We're going to comprise them of majority, if not all, black people. They're going to leverage your credibility in the hood, your credibility in the streets, your credibility in Ponderosa, Johns Island, Wamala. They want to leverage that to advance a message that is actually working against them, right? Because it's actually working against them, and that's why I'm bringing it up here. But this is largely led by, like, you'll see these nonprofits that are led by black women that are comprised of black staff, and you be like, wait, you want to tell me that gentrification, like, this don't make no sense? And then you start looking at, oh, they hire the face to do the work, like Joy said earlier, and then that's that. Postal weight is on the promise board, right? Exactly, right. Let me just read this as I dismount. Just talking about, it's talking about GOP dark money, but I put y'all on game. But I do, is this fair? This is wrong. I'm gonna say something I already regret saying it, and I didn't even say it. It just feels like the GOP dark money is a little worse. But it might not. If these schools start closing up and these other left-leaning groups is complicit in it, it's probably worse if it's left, because the left is actually undermining its own people and abandoning teachers and teachers unions. It's probably worse. Let me take that back. The GOP dark money group giving big to white supremacists. This is the other part about dark money that's problematic. And again, we've seen this locally here with the Proud Boys being embraced. Maurice Washington, a name that came up earlier in the chat, very close and cozy with Proud Boys and Oath Keepers and all that, very comfortably with printing op-eds in support of white nationalists. So that's not and Maurice Washington is black, but he's conservative. He's a Republican. So to see him factor into all of this too is kind of interesting. All right, efforts to overturn the election January 6th, organizers, white supremacist groups, and more than a dozen private and public universities. They all have one thing in common. They receive anonymous funding funneled through a single conservative dark money behemoth. All right. That's the news. The latest IRS filings from Donor Trust, a conservative Koch-aligned nonprofit which does not need to reveal the names of its donors, has been called the dark money ATM of the right. Okay. The disclosure was obtained first by CNBC, shows the group channeled major support for entities which fought to overturn President Joe Biden's 2020 victory. I think bringing this kind of a little bit back to South Carolina, watch out, because that money is moving now as Joe Biden gets ready to come here. We're going to see history now, because Joe Biden is coming here to deliver the commencement speech, but you're going to see a lot of shenanigans, right? Just look out for the groups that pop up during the protests of Joe Biden speaking at historically black college. Look at the groups, look at the flags, look at not just Let's Go Brandon, start looking at some of the other groups that emerge. Let's see. I don't know if they will, but that'll also indicate that the money is flowing, right? Because they're still working to not so much overthrow the election, but they're working to discredit these institutions. Okay. What happened? What happened? Okay. All right, I'm gonna dip. Can you hear me now? Okay, I'm leaving. I'm a dip. Everything's green over here. Lord, I'm talking too much. Oh, wow. All right. Bye. That's crazy. All right, bye.